I remember a torrent of refuse and mud running over the unpaved streets when it rained. I remember women covered in dark chadors moving like shadows. I remember mullahs in mosque exhorting the faithful to weep for the martyrs. I remember Niris as a sad society of timeless routine permeated by ignorance. With the onset of night, our house was plunged into darkness. Small oil lamps gave off a faint orange light, which we could not do much about. We feared the blackness of the night for the possible presence of crawling scorpion and listened to the sound of the glitter of the snake. The walls and the doors were the only barrier to the wild that lurked outside in the dark. Once, when I was very little, I was sleeping bundled up in blankets when a wild dog came in looking for food and took the bundles in his teeth and went back out. My little body was found later sleeping outside in the corner of the courtyard. In the streets of Niris, we were vulnerable to the deeply held prejudices of the town people who had been taught by the mullahs to despise Baha'is. The mosque across the street blasted lengthy sermons from its rusty bullhorns to rile up Muslims against Baha'is. This unrelenting meanness seeped through the walls behind which we lived and caused my family members to be much harsher with each other than they would have been had we lived among generous and understanding people. My father, Sheikh Baha'i, was a student of scripture. He knew the Baha'i proofs and could convincingly demonstrate the truth of the Bab and Baha'u'llah. This, along with his general personality, oratorical skills, and compassionate nature, made him an effective teacher of his faith. My father spent much time in prayers. When I asked him why he prayed so much, he answered, "For you." And in the coming years, I often felt that I was being helped by the prayers that he had uttered for me. He became a frequent target of Fali, a Muslim fanatic, but met the indignity with great courage. The breaking point came when my father organized a public debate on behalf of the assembly between Fali and the visiting Baha'i teacher Tarazullah Samandari. The governor of Niris was friendly to Baha'is and cancelled the debate because he suspected that Fali would use the debate to stir up anger against the Baha'is. Fali felt humiliated by the cancellation. Soon afterward, a few of his henchmen who lived up in the mountain kidnapped my father while he was on his way to his orchards. Our relatives and friends appealed for help, and several Muslim family members rescued him. My father was brought back greatly bruised and with a broken nose. The kidnapping convinced my father that we had no viable future if he stayed in Niris. The constant grinding away of sources of income, public dignity, and future plans left Baha'is families with few options. And those families who had the means become part of the immigration out of Niris that erodes its large Baha'i community. We joined the exodus. So it was that one day my father and I boarded a truck headed out of Niris for Shiraz, with our old suitcases, 2 blankets, and a bag of bread and feta cheese. Sitting on almond bags that had been loaded on the top of the truck, I thought about my dog whom the mob had killed in the streets. The young Baha'i men who had gone up onto our roof with their rifles in case we needed protection during our father's kidnapping, and the constant petty harassment in the streets and alleys of this little town. That was the life I was leaving behind. Our journey began.